Hi, and welcome to a very special I Don't Know What I'm Doing with holiday episodes. So this episode, we're not going to deal with a piece of vintage computer equipment, but it is going to be interrelated to that. So as I've been buying some of these computer pieces and looking at projects to build with them and making these videos, my beautiful fiance has been dropping some subtle and not so subtle hints that she would like us to get a Vectrex, and I should do a video about the Vectrex. Well, guess what, honey? Not only are we going to get a Vectrex, but we're also going to do a video about the Vectrex for the holiday spirit.
The latest, greatest, ever more spectacular Woolworth Christmas show. Fisher Price, here, that looks nice. The baby-proof safe game. The Speak and Spell. That is correct. Makes other toys look tame. And once they played with Vectrex, they'll never be the same. And the latest, greatest, ever more spectacular Woolworth Christmas show.
Give up my Atari? My television?
How about for this?
You bet your asteroid.
Introducing the revolutionary Vectrex arcade system. No TV set needed. Instead, Vectrex has a real arcade screen built in. So you get challenging real arcade graphics and sounds with every Vectrex cartridge. No wonder Vectrex was chosen 2-1 over Atari and Intellivision for real arcade gameplay. So compare. Discover how Vectrex brings real arcade play home.
So I've been looking for Vectrex for quite a while on eBay, and most of them are usually a little bit pricier than I want to go, particularly if you need to get extra controller and all that kind of stuff. So I looked at a bunch of different projects I could do with the Vectrex. There's some really neat stuff out there. Happened to luck into kind of a pretty good deal on a mostly working Vectrex, missing controller. And then started thinking about other projects I could do with it. So let's just dive right in and take a look at all the stuff I had to do to bring this gift to life. Look at some of the new projects that I added to extend what the Vectrex can do and extend what me and my fiance are going to be able to do with it. So happy holidays, honey. Now you're going to be able to watch a video before you get to actually play with your gift. So I hope you enjoy it, and I had a lot of fun making this for you. And let's jump right in. So when the Vectrex arrived, I was actually kind of surprised because it came in a box and I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought it was just a loose system. Now the Vectrex came out in 1982 in North America, May 1983 in Europe, and in June 1983 in Japan. It was released by GCE here, which was eventually bought by Milton Bradley. And in Japan, it was marketed by Bandai. Now, I would recommend, there's a great podcast called Vectrex Radio. There's an actual interview in one of the first couple episodes where they're talking about the hardware with the people who actually created the Vectrex. So it's fascinating. Now, I was actually really surprised at the condition of this unit. Yeah, there's some blemishes. You can see some of the plastic is starting to show some oxidation and so on. But overall, it looked in great shape. Didn't come with a controller though, but that's no biggie. I didn't expect that at all. So why don't we try firing this thing up and see if it works? Yes, there's the Vectrex hum that I've heard so much about. So let's give this a little bit more thorough rundown just to make sure it's actually operating the way we expect it to. I did end up picking in the meantime this multi-cart, one of Sean Kelly's multi-carts. This is I think 2.5. And then actually purchased a controller from some other seller. And that plugs right in the front where there's two different controller ports. Only one controller here, and it kind of like flips up into the system, so it's all real compact and put together. This is gonna need some TLC though, it's pretty dirty. So what I wanted this cart for was actually the test ROM that was used to diagnose and fix Vectrex issues. So I wanted to take a look here to see, you can see the screen geometry, double check that all the joystick parts are working as we expect, which they did. See if there's any odd things we need to fix. It does look a little distorted around the edge, but honestly, I was shocked at how nice this was overall. A little adjustment for the brightness. You can screw up a vector display if it's too bright. There's all the wonderful noises the Vectrex can make, in addition to its buzz. So I do want to fix that buzz, so it means we're going to have to pull this Vectrex apart, which I was going to do anyway, and clean out the inside. So let's also take a look at some of those monitor issues while we're at it. I do love forcing you all to watch unscrewing things, even in weird treatments like this. And now let's take a look inside. It's actually a pretty cool looking unit. You've got your logic board on the bottom, the power board on the left there. And we'll take a look at the chips in more detail in a future episode. It is interesting to note here that unlike some of its contemporaries that use the 6502, the Vectrex used the 68A09. Not too dirty though, but we know we're going to pull this thing apart, so I want to take a lot of photos of the way different things connect and make sure I just know how to put it all back together. Plus, who can resist extra circuit board and wire photos? So I am taking the CRT out of this thing. I would not suggest you do this yourself. Leave it to trained professionals like me. Yeah. Anyway, I took this apart, didn't hurt myself in any way, which is good. I ended up actually doing it multiple times, so the Vectrex was not too difficult to discharge and so on. But one thing I did notice, they really love to glob that solder on, because I guess, men really like it when you glob it on. And we are going to disconnect the power board here. This one, just marking some stuff so I remember how to put it all back together and which order I want to put things back together. We're going to store the CRT in a safe place so it doesn't get damaged. Pull the volume knob off because you need to do that to really fully disconnect this. And we're going to clean that too. Pull the logic board out of there, and now we're ready to scrub away. Now, this will only be about a minute or so on the video, but this actually ends up taking about an hour to do all this stuff and make sure you get all the nooks and crannies and clean everything off. Lots of footage. Not too dusty, really. Looks pretty nice. I love the look of old circuit boards. They're just neat looking. Components nowadays are so tiny that you really couldn't do much of this. And you couldn't pry things off and make a mess of things like I'm doing here. We're gonna clean the contacts, and speaking of globbing it on, boy, oof. Oh well. I'll do this better next time. So, we're gonna clean through all this stuff. I'm gonna hit everywhere I can and give that joystick controller a pretty good, nice, thorough clean down. And one thing I noticed on all the plastics on this unit, actually, and the joystick as well, is just the weathering that the plastic had gone through. So what I ended up doing, I didn't get any footage of this, but I ended up buying this plastic restoration. It's kind of same stuff you would put on your car, specifically for plastic. And boy, it did a fantastic job. Now we're going to do something that some Vectrex fans consider to be, kind of sacrilege, and that is installing this wonderful buzz-off circuit. Now I bought this from Obtainium Gaming on eBay. They have a Facebook group too. And let me just say, I was super impressed with the whole packaging, the whole setup, the instruction manual, everything. Well worth the money, very detailed, very well built, very easy to follow and understand, even for somebody like me who does not know what they're doing. Just a really nice all-around experience. I really like the instruction manual quite a bit. It basically is very detailed enough so you can work through it if you don't want to read every single thing, and tons of pictures showing exactly what you should do, and a nice little diagram here with the actual same colored wires overlaid on top showing exactly how you need to put it together, what each thing is, what it does, and just very simple to take this, look at it, look at the actual board that you have, and put it all together. Just really great product, and the whole package was just put together great. So go ahead and solder these wires in. This is an empty spot right here on the board. Then you attach it into the existing points for where the audio and the ground are there, and then put your buzz-off kit on. Now, You connect this basically directly up to the speaker. It's tapping right into the audio out on the board and getting its power from the board as well. Now, part of the reason why you get that buzz is that the audio is actually fed from the logic board up into the power board and then back out to the speaker. So that's one cause for it. So this kind of just circumvents that completely. Additionally, you also have the option of restoring the volume pot and switch there, which I go ahead and did. Mine wasn't too bad, but there was a little of that brushiness sound. So we'll check this out once we get it all back together. Now, I do have a future plan to actually recap this whole thing, but I don't really have enough time for that right now before the holidays, so I'm only going to do one specific section, which is all these weird-looking can-looking things down there, those capacitors. So we'll desolder them off the board, pull them out, and here's the old ones in order, and here's our new set that we're going to replace them with. And just the modern equivalent to what those are. So we'll put these on, solder them together. I'm not great at soldering. I'm getting a little better as I do more of these things and transitioning from not know what I'm doing to kind of sort of knowing what I'm doing, but that's the fun. So we'll try and get this thing back into a little bit more shape here. Now, I did take this thing apart and put it back together multiple times, so you'll actually notice here I didn't get footage of every single time. You'll notice that some of these caps are actually from the first or second time I did this. So please excuse that part. I don't quite know what I'm doing when I'm taking all these footage either. Put that CRT back in. You just want to be a little careful with the CRTs because, you know, it is glass. They're pretty impact resistant, but there's parts of it that are much more delicate. So we'll put the power board back on and we'll connect the CRT back to the board and resolder the power back to the logic board and connect our anode back there and put everything back together. Now we're going to plug it in and let's hope I didn't screw anything up here big time. Very possible. It's what you call a smoke test. See if it smokes. And hey, yay. Didn't break it. And what's awesome is no buzz. That's fantastic. I mean, the buzz is kind of fun, but I know it would drive me nuts after a while. So let's go through while we got the back off this thing and do some of the additional tune-ups. So there's a couple horizontal and vertical height and width adjustments here. So we'll get this tuned up the way it's supposed to be. Now there is another pot on the back here, and that is for the DAC offset. And what we're going to do is put our multimeter onto one specific pin on one of the chips, and what we're looking for is actually to get 0 when there's nothing on the screen. Now I knew one controller wasn't going to be enough, so I found a project on Thingiverse for a 3D printed shell for a new Vectrex and some wiring diagrams that we could use to build a new controller using a Pro Adafruit Analog Mini stick. Now I gotta figure out which pin is which because the diagram was actually color-coded and that didn't actually align to my wires. So I tested them all out, then breadboarded a quick button test. Additionally, wanted to get that little curly Q in the cable, so that you just wind around something like a pencil, heat it up for a little while, let it cool off, and then do a reverse wind on it, so it's a little bit springier than if you had just taken it right out. Found this technique on some YouTube videos. We'll see how it lasts. Now, the buttons I got, which are for this case, they're Sanwa 18mm ones. They fit fine, but I ended up using a little hot glue to keep them in place. I do have some bigger ones on order, and those will come, and I'll make another. So we're going to wire this up. That's a bunch of the ground going there, and we're going to connect up the different wires to the analog joystick. Now, in the original Vectrex diagrams, there's a 4.7K resistor on one side and a 10K trimmer pot on the other side. So we're just going to wire those in line for now until I get a better circuit built for this thing. It ain't pretty, but it works. And the neat thing is, so I can test all the keys, they're working exactly as I expect. I can also then use those trimmer pots to adjust the centering of the joystick. So it's working great, but I just need to get that aligned to center. And you can see here when you adjust that, you're getting a little bit higher and lower voltage going back. So now we'll screw it all in together and move on to the next part of this gift. But before that, just take a look at that. That's way cool. I love it. So simple, but it's going to be much more durable and longer lasting than the Vectrex controller. Now I found another source on eBay for some newly made Vectrex Light pens. So it's neat, you got this so you can actually hold it without having to contort your hand and see what you're drawing. And then as a little bonus, it's Christmas themed, so it came with a candy cane. So let's take a look at Artmaster on the multi-card. Now this is neat, because actually before I started investigating the Vectrex, I didn't even know that light pens and such were even available for it, and it's actually pretty sweet. Way cooler than I thought it was going to be. Very responsive. But the neat thing is too, you can actually do some simple animation stuff, so you can draw lines from one point to another, adjust frames, adjust the points on those lines, so you can move them into different spots, and then check it out. It'll do the interpolation between the different frames for you. So it's pretty sweet. I can't wait to play around with this a lot more. And then the final part of the gift that I'm able to do this time around is I bought a brand new Sean Kelly multi-card version 3. Basically, Sean Kelly's been making these things since 1995. It essentially contains all the actual released Vectrex software as well as a few additional ones. Someday I'm going to have to try to build a 3D imager because there's the 3D games on here too that the Vectrex has. And with that, we're going to start wrapping up our gifts so we can put them under the tree and get them ready for the holidays. And we live in California, so we got to have avocados and tacos on our Christmas wrapping paper. Now, I didn't get a chance before this episode aired to try out the Vectrex 32. It's a pretty cool little project. It has a little ARM processor on board, and it does basic interpretation and feeds the Vectrex stuff to display stuff, so you can build your own games and software. So yeah, so this project was actually a lot of fun, kind of under a time crunch because I had to get it done before holidays and holiday travel and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely things I want to do further with it, and we will do things further with it in a future episode as a follow-up. But I'm pretty happy with where we got to. Learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know before, attempting some things that I don't necessarily know how to do or didn't know how to do before starting this video. So with that said, I'm itching to plug this thing in and let's play some of these games and try out some of these other wacky little contraptions and add-ons. So thank you for watching and have a happy holidays, and I hope you'll come back for the next episode, which will go back into vintage Commodore equipment and programming and that kind of stuff for it. So thanks for watching, and please click like and subscribe if you like this video. Every little click helps, so please don't shy away. Also leave comments if you like. I got a lot of great comments so far, a lot of great pointers on what other stuff I should look at or other videos to check out that might help me resolve some of the issues that I've had with the other during the making of the other videos. So all this feedback is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to getting the next one done, getting out in front of all you guys. So thanks again, happy holidays, and we'll talk again in the future. Bye-bye. So we're actually going to be traveling for the holidays, so I decided that I finished the video and I might as well give all these gifts to my fiance. So please put up with the indulgence here as I show you all the gifts that I wrapped up and gave to her and her reactions to each one of these things. And again, thanks for watching and hope to see you again soon. Your first one is this one. I feel like this one will confuse you.
Okay. All right. You weren't wrong about that.
You know what it is?
It's pink.
Okay, so this one is something I built. It's an AC servo motor. Didn't you want that?
Oh, you shouldn't have.
And I didn't.
Oh, this was one of my guesses.
There you go. Aww. That's it. A little tiny Vectrex. That's all you're getting.
Okay, so it might be a little different size.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, I don't think it'll fit. Let's make a tiny one.
Signature, great work.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So that is the Vectrex 32, which is actually a little computer that you plug into the Vectrex, and it's a 32-bit processor on there. And you can plug it in the computer and you can write your own games and make your own vectors and music and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, just be careful flipping it around.
Man, I love these things. They just look so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like brand new.
Yeah. Right.
That is awesome. Really impressed, honey.
Yeah. You
I want to fire
Christmas
it up.
present?
I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
We can put it on the table over there, maybe.
Yeah, let's do it.